So it is on. Round robin 2, race number 2, challenger of record against INEOS Team UK. Currently the form boat in this Prada Cup Challenger Series on day number 3. And the cameras that we have on board all over the place, along with our microphones, showing you, just like that shot, how crazy this weather is today. Man, I'm excited.
Bring it on. This is that gear busting kind of. You kind of have a feeling when you leave the dock on a day like today that it's going to be a little bit different. You got to hold on, Nathan. This is something that you can't break the boat, but at the same time, nobody's going to let you back off, because if you do, you're going to lose.
Yeah, it's definitely rough out there today, isn't it? Check out the waves and these boats. You know, most of these teams have been always sailing in the flat water. You know, they probably would have been expecting to be in the back paddock or in the harbour in conditions like this, but they're out there in the roughest part of the harbour today.
So are you surprised they went to this race course?
I'm a little shocked that we're out here. I don't think many of the teams were thinking they were going to have to sail in these conditions and these kind of waves. I reckon they thought they'd be in flatter, more protected conditions, but it's going to be a good test for the structure of these boats, isn't it?
Let's be blunt though, either of you would love the chance to be on a wheel out there today, wouldn't you? Come on.
Of course, but at the same time, this is kind of comfy sitting here with you, you know, second guessing everything that's going on out there. There's nothing wrong with that.
Just under 3.5 minutes to race start, and race number 2 of round robin number 2 will complete, hopefully, this round robin stage today. We have heard from race management there's a big shift coming, and potentially that could way, how about that? That gives you an idea of what the conditions are like. Francesco Bruni getting his early shower. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when these boats are up and forwarding at speed? We know, and we've been blessed to be shown pictures prior to you seeing these ones getting close to 50 knots and getting themselves into gear.
Well, they'll be pushing the boats hard, but it's so bumpy that you can't push these boats too hard. And you know, Ken made a good point. You know, to finish first, you've got to first finish, right? You've got to make sure you get this boat around the course, keep it upright. And I think it's going to be a game of managing the throttle, going fast when you know you've got control, and then backing it off when it's time to, you know, keep it under control.
Rossa have port entry on this race number 2, and it'll be starboard entry for INEOS Team UK. The exciting part of this, that boat in front of you, what are they going to be like in these wild conditions?
It just looks marginal, doesn't it? I mean, it just feels marginal.
The 2 minutes and 10 seconds they are allowed in on the port entry and income at pace, and real pace for the first time. And this is Rossa Prada Pirelli. And then from the 2 minute mark, income on the starboard entry is INEOS Team UK. There is a lot of work going on out there.
There are a lot of questions today for both of these boats. INEOS was notoriously a heavy air boat in the past, but their light air performance the last couple days means maybe they've changed. And on the other hand, we've always thought the Italians struggling in a breeze. Let's see them prove otherwise today.
Rounding up. Your wheel, my wheel. Watch the bow. Yeah, got it.
Okay, 2 more turn up.
Don't come too far up. Very negative. Got it. Negative 6
Bend away. Okay, 2, 1, bending away.
Got it. We're on board both boats, listening in to whatever the strategies might be, with only about a minute to go before the start.
Away.
Stand by drive.
Okay. Main on the board. Yep,
got it.
Coming down the left board here.
Here's a decision for Ainsley right now. Will he tack before, or does he think they're early and push them from behind and tack out? Looks like he's going to be a pusher this time.
Got him killing 15. Speed.
Board down by tack.
Yep. My pitch.
Crossing. Board down. Turning.
Yep. Okay, going board. Okay.
This is the umpires. Boundary penalty, GBR. Boundary penalty, GBR.
That's an unforced error. Out of bounds in the pre-start. You can see the white water just went out of bounds. That's handing the rate to start to your competitor, isn't it?
Coming away. Yeah. That's course.
So unforced error by INEOS Team UK in the pre-start area. Boundary penalty. 10 seconds to go to the start.
Keep going, guys.
That's it there. Okay, stand by for a big main on, boys. Okay, I've got it. Keep in. Main on, my wheel.
Your wheel.
Main on the wind. Yeah, coming.
It's on. Round robin 2, race number 2. Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, INEOS Team UK away in some of the most challenging conditions we have seen to date.
That penalty gets cleared by them being 2 boat lengths behind right off the starting line. So INEOS is back in the game, but man, what an unforced error. Not a great way to start this race.
1-2, 1-2. You guys can hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm on the Jimmy, they're right behind us.
Let's focus. Yep.
I'm surprised he's staying on his hip there for so long. I would have thought Van Aenzen would have looked to tack to get out of this position. He's only getting further behind in the dirty air of Luna Rossa there.
Gaining here.
But I'll tell you what, there's a lot more chatter aboard the Italian boat right now. There's
stand by tack.
I can't say what the phrase is right now, but it is marginal out there. Let's put it that way.
And Kenny, they're only going upwind at the moment. Wait till they get to the top mark and have to turn these boats downwind and punch through these waves. But what we're experiencing right now, what we get to view is it's a boat speed race. We're trying to see who's the fastest boat in these conditions. Shirley, on the water, how is it out there? Nice and bumpy for you?
Yeah, I'm trying not to look at the monitor too much. It's really bumpy. Nathan, I wonder if Ben Ainsley is sort of protecting the left a little bit. The forecast is for the breeze to go left. And when I've noticed the puffs dropping, they're left-hand puffs. So, you know, you wouldn't want to get to the right-hand side. He wants to keep it nice and tight and nice and close.
Easy. So we go straight.
Back in here now. Copy.
Auto 75. Happy to come up too.
Nothing too big on the race course. I think boundary to boundary at the moment.
Intersection for the right. Coming then.
What feels good?
Yes,
A little bit lighter here.
Crossing.
And pressure into.
Ready. 2, 1, board down.
See the Italians tack right in front of Ainsley on this maneuver. They'll have plenty of time to set it up. And they don't.
Let's go with him here.
It's first.
Stand by tack, boys.
One reason why they may not have, Nathan, is this race course is so narrow. They're just trying to minimize maneuvers right now, and knowing that maneuvers kind of lend themselves towards braking gear possibly at the same time. You never know about those things, but I'm kind of surprised they gave him free air right there.
Well, as you say, it could be an opportunity here where Luna Rossa can sail across all the way to the left-hand boundary, tack and make the top marks in one, whereas INEOS might still have 2 more tacks to go. And tack loss, we always know there's a tack loss, but I think when it's wavier, the tack loss is even higher.
Boat is going well, guys.
No surprise that there is plenty of speed out on the course today. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli sitting around 34 knots, as is INEOS Team UK. They're running at around 40 miles an hour, which is 65 k's. So that's plenty quick enough in these conditions when you're hanging on.
40 miles an hour upwind, and you heard Francesco Bruni repeatedly on this, be kind of reassuringly to the group saying, guys, we're going well, we're going well. It's almost like he sounds a little bit surprised.
It's early jibe, possibly.
That's on the box. Okay, stand by. 3, 2, set up. 1, board down. 2, 1, board down.
Again.
Turn it.
Both boats approach the ley line, which means they're going to be on probably their final line into that first gate, and then we're going to see the fast bear away as they go around the marks. This is when the control is the scariest for these boats as they're trying to go around these marks.
Yeah, early jibe.
I think we're better off.
No rush, no rush.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli approaching the top gate for the first time. 6 legs, they will start the downwind leg. That'll be leg number 2, but they go around that mark for the first time. What's the gap to INEOS Team UK? Keep your eye on the bottom screen, to the bottom right of the screen, and that is the time gap difference. 11 seconds.
Looks like Ainsley just tried to keep that race close, Nathan, on the first leg. Let's not try anything crazy. Let's not do a big split. Let's not look for something that isn't there. And see, kind of get a feel for what the boat speeds are compared to the 2 boats.
Okay, my runner.
First time we've seen him behind in any of these races too.
Come on,
So
25. Get it going, guys.
what
Get
we've
it going.
seen so far is the team that's had the best start is generally
Get it
won
up.
these
Get the
races.
bow up.
So
Get it ripping. 28.
sounds like there's a bit of shadow on board Ben
Alright,
Ainsley.
this
I
guy,
think
this
it's
guy.
getting lighter, and I think as it gets lighter with this sea state, the boats are going to get harder and harder to sail. Shirley, on the water, is it dropping there? Have you got any inside knowledge for us?
M2, light breeze here.
Yeah, that's a good call, Nathan. You know, there's a lot of rain coming, and there's a lot of areas with a little bit of less wind. That's exactly what happened. And remember, they're quite underpowered as well. Small sails on, and really, you're really going to have to be dynamic with your setup to get through those lulls. But yeah, have small enough sails that when the breeze hits, you're going to be all right.
So different challenges. If there are lulls on the course, when you've got the sort of sails for these supposedly stronger conditions, 42 knots downwind, and that is INEOS Team UK as opposed to around 37 knots for Rossa Prada Pirelli on leg 2 of 6.
Nothing behind us, right? It's all on the left looking upwind.
So that's the voice of Jimmy Spittle of Rossa talking about the pressure and saying the breeze is stronger on the left-hand side of the course. So they're really trying to talk tactics about how do they go around these bottom marks and get themselves into this new pressure lane, this front that we've been talking about that's coming from the west coast. And if it comes in the middle of this race, tacticians are going to have their work cut out for them.
Not the smoothest of jives that we've seen from this group. You can see the gap closes up so quickly with one tiny mistake. They're really in the one mistake zone right now. That 200-meter zone is really one mistake away, and you can see they almost have the distance the Brits did just on that one little slider during the jive.
Happy to come down, kick off. Come down very fast here. Easy. Trim, ragazzi. Trim. Put pressure and right a little bit. Come down, trim. Good here.
Pull forward. Getting close. No, a little further, sorry. All good.
Like cross after.
Yeah, you got time to cross after.
A little bit more pressure right now on the right up.
1, 4 down. Okay. Can you get that? I will pitch. Make sure you get it ripping. Copy. Okay. We on. 32, hold that, Charles. Copy.
Both boats here on their final approach to the bottom gate. Looks like both teams trying to set up to take the right-hand marker. The left-hand marker, as we look at here, getting out to that left-hand side of the track to try and get into better pressure. I don't think Ben Ainsley's laid it though, so I think we're going to have a split here at the bottom mark.
Exactly. One and in for Ainsley, and hopefully straight in if you're an Italian fan. And again, here comes these gear-busting moments surrounding these marks and fully loading the boat side.
Turning in about 5. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Turning.
Rossa. Wow. Maintaining their lead with a mini splashdown at the bottom gate for the first time. They were 11 seconds ahead at the top gate. What will it be at the bottom gate?
They're doing a head count. They all still on board the boat. Oh, we knew this was going to be hard, but this is brutal.
17 seconds though. They've eked out a 6-second gap further on INEOS Team UK.
Lock it in, guys. Just go.
It's marginal just when these guys are crossing right now. Imagine if the boat goes down and all that water is flying over the deck and somebody's trying to cross at the same time.
It's looking really hard for the guys sailing the boats. In all the hour before this race, the breeze had been up. It had been over 20 knots. Here we go. I have looking at the bottom mark around in here. Coming in. Check out the foil on the leeward side here and the bow punching through the waves. That there makes the boat really hard to turn. The foil, you can see the white water coming off the leeward foil and big drop there. That's a massive drop in speed. And then Ben Ainsley sets up to go to the other mark and he's struggling just as much. So clearly teams are struggling out there handling the boats in the sea state. It's not the wind strength, it's the sea state.
3, 2, 1, here we go.
And that was the on-board moment.
Oh, it's so. Remember how you asked us early in the piece whether we'd like to be out there driving? This is a nice seat, right? We got the best seats in the house here in our little room with all of our monitors, watching these guys go crazy out there.
We do have to pose the question on leg 3 of 6. We're getting towards the halfway point of race 2, round robin number 2, about Luna Rossa in heavier conditions, and the way that boat's set up and how it's falling right now. What do you make of it, Nate?
Well, they look pretty quick to me. They look like they obviously had a great start, but
Find a flat spot
when the
if
boat
you can.
punches through the water, yes, there's a lot of white water, but it's not getting fully off balance. You can see the bow touching here every now and then. It sounds like they're about to tacky it, rolling into attack. The bigger foils and the bigger waves are going to have more grip, and that bigger flap is going to give the boat a bit more control.
That's what we need.
Interesting tactics right now going on. I'm surprised that they've opened up the left-hand side here to Ben Ainsley. Maybe they're trying to sail their own race, and look at that. They look like they've got a right-hand shift now. But surely the weather out there, it looks like it's trending down. How far away is this front that we keep talking about, or is it not going to come in this race?
Okay, ready?
Nathan, I'm not sure about the front. I don't think it'll get to us yet, but there is rain coming down the left-hand side of the course. And normally with a rain cloud, you know, there's more wind, and it's shifted round to the side that it's coming down on. So where Ben has tack now, but definitely there's something happening which may well happen in the next loop of this race.
With both boats splashing down at that leeward mark, Stephen, at that leeward gate, it looks like the issue on Luna Rossa was a little less than the issue, and they've almost again doubled the lead based on 2 mistakes. Your mistake was just a little less than the other guy's mistake. That's all.
And I wondered too, Francesco Bruni in the press conference yesterday asking about heavier conditions, and I think the line was, we have no speed deficit in heavier conditions, and we're seeing that.
Well, he's been saying that all along, by the way, and maybe we should just listen to him every once in a while. We have these preconceived notions over what we've seen before in past races, but the fact is, as we keep talking about, there is changes to these boats every single day. They've obviously found something here.
Well, Kenny, do you think by then putting those running backstays back on and tensioning that forestay might have just given them that upwind speed that they were missing in the stronger breeze?
Well, there's no question that makes the whole package above the deck, the engine above the deck, more adaptable, more you can change gears. Yeah, I think they've used them a lot of times in the breeze. We noticed in Light Air the other day, they have the running backstays on. They've been forced to put the running backstays back on the boat by the arbitration committee, but they didn't even use them the other day. They were flapping in the breeze. Today, we can obviously see that the weather running backstay is tight, and the leeward one is loose, flapping in the breeze, so they are using it to control the sail plan. Sounds right to me. Sounds smart to me.
Not really one side, it's just
that one cable, the forward cable, is the one on the weather side, on the windward side, that's being used, and that's helping not only create or not create mass bend, but it's also getting the head stay tighter and creating a flatter jib at the same time.
Okay, my rudder. My rudder. My trap, yeah.
Stephen, nice little lead for Luna Rossa. This has been a good leg for them, and that kind of easy staying wide against your opponents, it's obviously worked.
In 3,
Pressure increasing.
2, 1, clear.
Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli at the top gate for the second time and rounding the mark. The advantage was 17 seconds at the bottom gate. Has this been a productive leg for the challenger of record? Keep your eye on that clock. We love the clock, don't we, Kenny? Just to see what the advantage is.
Don't get me started again on this clock.
And they have really put the hammer down, Luna Rossa.
Pressure again, 3. Keep pushing, guys. The pressure.
My wheel here.
INEOS Team UK, who are 3 from 3 at the moment. And the deficit is blowing out somewhat, now 44 seconds. My word, that's a performance right now from the Italians.
Yeah, so Nathan, we've talked a lot about you can't be fast in all conditions, and frankly, I think the sailing world was a bit surprised yesterday at the strength of this boat in the lighter air.
17 setting up.
You gotta, if you're gonna get fast in one condition, very often you take it away from the other. You think that we're seeing a little bit of that?
Well, I think we're seeing a little bit of that, but it's not just the wind strength that they mowed these boats for, it's the sea state. You know, the race that they won against Rossa on the first day was similar wind strengths to this. The only difference I can see right now is the size of these waves and the fact that they didn't win the start. It's becoming a bit of a trend, like you said earlier in the week. The starting in that first cross is critical. But what I'm also seeing is this one boat's just sailing away from the other boat. So maybe the sea state is to the Rossa's advantage. They did a lot of sailing in the Mediterranean, quite big waves in the lead up to coming here, perhaps with training that they've done there. And it's not so much maybe the equipment, but how you're handling the foils, how you're trimming the sails, how you're dealing with the elements.
Okay, my rudder.
Nathan, I'll just jump in there. We are on the left-hand side of the racetrack, and it's really cold air. It's a lot windier. So expect them to sort of be thinking about that in this next wind. There's a ton more wind on the left-hand side.
All the time.
Thank you, Shirley. Could be some action on this final lap. Looking forward to that. And I guess they're going to be trying to work out at what time do they need to push left to get into that new pressure.
Lovely bias.
Yeah, we got right turn bias.
Yeah, right turn bias.
35 meters.
I fall in 3 here. We have better pressure than him here?
Yeah, better pressure coming down onto him all the time.
Bad wave coming.
Just the question now is if we push for the one and in to save the move.
Right now, as we look at this picture, the wind's coming from the right-hand side.
It's going to be a big shift through this race. It's coming in off that beach.
Yeah, they can see it.
Copy.
They can see it. They're talking about it. They're just, they've actually have the distance because they're getting into that shift first on INEOS Team UK.
Okay, stand by, stand by.
Your pitch.
We're not there yet, Ben. This is going to get exciting. A lot of chatter. This breeze strength is going to pick up the way we think it might.
What are you trying to do?
I'm just trying to get one of them left. On you, though,
I'm not sure you're going to get that, are you?
No, he's committing to it himself. He's still down inside us as much as we can here.
It's just going to it's going to go 90 degrees left in about a minute.
My pitch. Your pitch.
90 degrees left. That's a massive wind shift to the left-hand side of the course.
Simon the boundary here.
Yeah.
But the big thing is, can they actually lay the mark? If it goes 90 degrees left, do they even have to jive? This is going to create real confusion.
Okay, building a bit of speed here, Ben.
They got super light where they are.
It's getting light, and you can see they're going a long way past that artificial ley line that we put up there. Look at that.
Look at all the birds on the front side of the front, getting put. Huge wind shift.
Off the foils, this is about to get turned on its head this race once again.
Around the outside of him. No lower. Okay,
If you're the regatta director, you got to be thinking, is this a fair contest at this stage? It's such a massive wind shift.
Look at that jibe by INEOS Team UK. Very nice jibe. They've taken the lead here. You can see the dark pressure on the top left of our picture here, left-hand corner. That's where the new pressures come from. It's come down with INEOS Team UK, and they've taken the lead.
And even a darker line, Stephen, out behind these guys coming.
Come down, Ben, for the gate.
I can't see it.
Come down.
Okay, four down.
All the way down. Happy to
Jive turn up, yeah? Jive turn up.
Pivotal moment in race number 2, round robin 2. As they touched down INEOS Team UK, they were trailing by 44 seconds at the top gate.
Both boats really close to out of control because of the wind shift right now. It's because of this big wind shift. It looks to be a lull in front of a big puff that's coming across the race course.
Shirley, what can you see?
Yeah, we are to the left-hand side of the racetrack. I mean, it's a good 25 knots here. It's coming off the land. It's full on here, and it's about to hit them in literally seconds.
When it hits them, Stephen, there's a big choice for our race director. Whether because they're going to fetch this next gate in one hitch on port tack, they're going to have a straight shot. It doesn't become a windward-leeward race course anymore. It becomes essentially a reaching race course when that happens.
8 knots, 7.5.
40 seconds. It's gone from a 44-second deficit to a 40-second advantage for INEOS Team UK. But
Ease it more, guys. Come on, you've got to ease it.
questions in play.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
So Luna, Rossa, Prada, Pirelli look like they're almost about to do an attack here at the bottom mark. INEOS Team UK sailing towards the bottom of our pitch here. You can see the pressure on the water.
12 knots, 13.
It's all about who gets it and gets on the foil and gets drifting towards the top.
Go real hard, go Trav.
Just ominous out there. Like the breeze isn't there yet, but it's about to get ugly.
Gonna go across
First team up
boundary.
and foiling now. Be tackling before they go out of bounds. Don't attack, guys.
Where's INEOS?
Great jobs. This is the race committee. We will be abandoning this race and resailing it.
So
New
race
start time to be
abandonment
advised shortly.
and a restart resale.
Brakes might have been abandoned. Hang on.
Copy.
You just stay on the wheel.
Yeah, got it. Slow down, boys, for a sec.
Ian Murray talked about this before the race. They knew this frontal line was going
Race
to
committee,
be
can you please repeat your last?
They're not sure if they heard it correctly, so they're asking the race committee if the race, in fact, has been abandoned.
Race committee, can you please repeat your last?
They're still racing because I think they're on. Luna, Rossa obviously have got the communications there.
Yeah, I'm just on the boundary yet.
Race abandoned, Four down.
Here.
The key thing for these guys now is to not do anything silly and tip the boats over when this squall of 30 knots comes through.
Great jobs. This is the race committee. The race has been abandoned. We will reset the course and resale the same race. New start time to be advised.
Okay. Go Jim down, huh?
We put this one back.
Referential moment.
1 minute you're sailing down when it's 40 knots, and then you literally hit the stop button.
Yeah, well, it's a typical frontal passage. You know, you get that lull, and then the amazing thing was all those birds out in front of that, they're being pushed by the pressure.
You see them here approaching the bottom mark. This is a replay from that bottom mark. INEOS Team UK trying to keep it on the foil and just parked, you know, and Luna Rossa do the same. You could see all the white water coming off those foils. That's because they're sailing in chop. They're in the waves, and the ride height becomes super critical.
So I have to ask the question. Folks are going to be watching this going, well, hang on a minute. They got a lead. Yes, the conditions changed suddenly. Why the race abandoned?
So that is always something that is that's the most talked about in our sport. For sure, the race director would have talked to these teams long before this regatta starts as to what people consider a fair race and an unfair race. Listen, I am all for letting these races go in that situation because it is what it is. One boat got ahead, the better team ends up winning.
Both experiencing the same conditions.
But it's a windward-leeward race course. I think the teams and the race director have decided that if we want to set this race course up upwind, against the wind, and downwind with the wind. With a big, huge shift like this, it turns into a reach. There really isn't any tactics at that stage. You head for the mark, takes the tactics away.